Okay, gents, look at this, please. Shh. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, guys. Here's my question, okay? Once, just so I don't confuse you, I'm not doing this question right now. I'm doing a simpler version of this question. I just want to test this first, right? So, if I have 3x equals y, I'm allowed, lads, I'm allowed to multiply both sides by any number I want, correct? If I pick 2, it'd be 6x equals 2y, no bother. If I pick the minus number, it'll be minus 3x equals minus y. I'm allowed to square both sides. So what happens if I square both sides? 3x squared, 2b squared equals, and 3x by 3x equals y squared. Any questions thus far? So you're allowed to square both sides and they're still equal to each other. Everybody cool with that? Okay, next thing. What happens if I have, instead of 3x, what happens if I have 3 root x? Like so. So 3 root x. Once again, I'm going to square both sides. What happens when I square both sides? It's 3 root x to be squared. What is 3 root x to be squared? It's 3 root x multiplied by 3 root x. 3 times 3. Root x by root x. It is root x squared, but what is root x squared? Just x. Any square root of Sean multiplied by the square root of Sean is Sean. Do you get it? Doesn't matter what's in there. Square root of Mr. Kenny multiplied by the square root of Mr. Kenny, the answer is Mr. Kenny. It gets rid of what's in the, it gets rid of the square root sign essentially. So anytime you see two identical square roots multiplied by each other, the square root sign disappears. Everybody cool with that? Awesome. So here's what we're going to do now. Now that you know this, you know that it's 9x equals y. Is everybody okay with that? Now I'm going to unveil the question. Would anybody have an idea how to do this one? Square both sides, yeah? 3 root xy by, and square both sides. So what happens when you square 3 root xy? You do get 9xy, excellent. I'm just going to do the extra step just because I don't want you just learning by rote. So basically 3 times 3, 9, root xy by root xy, got to be xy. Now we pretty much have the y on its own. What has to leave the y? So y equals z squared over. Okay, just make sure we capture all this later on. So it's near the top. Z squared equals 9x. Yes, sir. Yeah, y is the starter show. He's on its own, and then the other ones are around it. Okay. 45. Why don't you guys have a quick go at this one? Okay, guys. So I'm going to square both sides. So it's root 2x minus 3 multiplied by root 2x minus 3. Does that make sense when I square it? And then the other side is y squared. If you aren't sure, it's basically root 2x minus 3 to be squared. When you multiply a square root by exactly the same square root, the square roots disappear. That's what I'm left with. Then the x wants to be on its own, so the minus 3 goes over the other side. And then then the x wants to be on its own, so then it goes underneath. Any questions about that one? What we're doing here, guys, this one's a bit more difficult. Now, once again, I'm gonna block off the question, and I'm gonna make something simpler to begin with. Everybody cool with that? So ignore the question and just concentrate on what I'm saying. X equals square roots of 1 over y. Square both sides, what happens? X squared equals? Yeah, just do the Rory technique. Grab the 1 root sign and throw it out the window, okay? But if for those of you that are a bit more, want to know exactly what's going on, it's root 1 over y by root 1 over y. And then that's the same as root 1 by root 1, root y by root y. 1 times 1 is 1. Root y by root y is root y squared, which is, and root y squared is y. That's if you want to get way too technical about it, okay? But don't. Just get rid of the squared sign, yeah? And then how do I get y on its own then? Give a common denominator of y. And then it'll be something like this, y here and y there. And then bring the x squared underneath, and you get y equals 1 over x squared. Is that okay with you guys? Now, in this question here, slightly different. There's an extra number on the outside, isn't there? But that's okay, because we'll just do the same thing we did anyway. So here's what we're doing. We're saying t squared equals k by root L over g multiplied by k over root L over g. Put the k's together. What happens when we multiply k by k? And what happens when we mix the square root with the identical square root? So just L over. Who's the star to show? Who's L's the star? Who's L? L's pretty close to both of them, isn't he? I think we might give it a common denominator first. What's the common denominator? G. Yeah, thank you. You read my mind. And then somebody called for a switch. Good old switch pass. And then bring the k squared underneath. And you're good to go, aren't you? That's a T. So just give me a sec. Okay. No, that one already had a G. Has a G underneath it already, so I didn't need to. Sorry, Josh, you want me coming back here? Is that correct? That G belongs to the k squared and the L, so it's just one G top and bottom here. Then the G's cancel. Then we did the switch where it's k squared L equals gt squared. And then we brought the k squared underneath to get gt squared over k squared. Is that okay with you? Alright, gents. Next part. 50, and that's my last one. Okay. Perimeter. And A is area. What is perimeter? It's length plus width plus length plus. Perimeter is 2L plus 2W. Get P in terms of L and W. Done. Get W in terms of P and L. That means that I want W on its own and I want P and L over the other side. P minus 2L equals 2. W. Switch. 2W equals P minus 2L. And then W equals P minus 2L over 2. Pretty handy so far? Okay, let's go another one. Express area. Oh, look at that last question. That last question's gold. I actually need the answers to that part, to the end part. Very impressive question, actually. So I'm just going to go up here. Is that okay with you guys? Now, what's area? LW, length multiplied by width. What is W on its own then? LW equals A. W must equal A over L. See the way it says express A in terms of P and L? What letter is missing out of the three then? W is missing, isn't it? So we have a W here, don't we? And where's our other W gone? There's our other W, isn't it? Both of them are equal to W, would you agree with that? Which therefore means they're both equal to each. They gotta be equal to each other because they're both equal to W. Which letter do you want on its own? You want A on its own, don't you? So what do we get here? A equals, just bring up the L. If you want, just bring up the L. If L is multiply on the left, it's division on the right. Do you want to do common denominator way? Yeah, we'll keep it the same. 2L, 2 on the bottom, 2 on top. L on the bottom, L on top. Get rid of the denominators. Bring the 2 underneath. So it's going to be a multiply in the L. So it's going to be LP minus 2L squared all over No, the a needs to stay there. It's the 2 over 2. We good? Alright, and done.